The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not physically. Emotionally. Everything echoed, shoes on tile, paper shuffling, the soft clearing of throats. Family disputes always look smaller in legal rooms. Reduced to folders, exhibits, signatures. My father sat across from me, posture rigid, hands folded as if this were a business meeting. In a way, it was. He had petitioned the court to appoint him as executor of a trust my grandmother left in my name. His argument was simple: I lacked the maturity and financial stability to manage it myself. I almost admired the consistency. He'd been calling me a dreamer since I was 16, when I chose art school over accounting. When I left his firm to start my own company. When I declined his temporary guidance. Your Honor, he said, now voice steady, practiced, my child has always had creative ambitions. Admirable, of course. But impractical. There is no stable income history. No long-term financial discipline. I'm simply asking the court to protect my mother's legacy. Protect. He didn't look at me while he spoke. I watched his profile instead. The familiar angle of his jaw, the faint crease between his eyebrows when he believed he was being reasonable. Useless dreamer. He didn't use those exact words in court. He didn't have to. The implication sat clearly in the air. My attorney remained quiet. We had submitted my financial disclosures as required: tax returns, asset statements, corporate filings. I had signed everything without hesitation. For 10 years, I had built my company quietly. Tech design contracts at first, then licensing, then acquisitions. I kept my name off press releases. I declined interviews. Privacy wasn't modesty, it was self-preservation. My father respected money. I wanted to know who he respected without it. The judge, a woman in her early 60s, with a reputation for patience and precision, flipped through the file in front of her. Her expression did not change immediately. She read carefully. The silence stretched. My father continued, sensing momentum. With all due respect, my child has never demonstrated. Mr. Hale. The judge interrupted, not raising her voice. Just enough to stop him. She adjusted her glasses and looked down again at the documents. Then back up, not at me, at him. I want to be clear, she said. You are petitioning this court on the grounds that your adult child lacks the financial capacity to manage an inheritance of approximately $400,000. Yes, Your Honor, she nodded slowly. And you have reviewed the full financial disclosures submitted by counsel. There was a flicker. I've seen the summary. I suggest you review them in detail. The room felt smaller. She turned a page toward him. According to these filings, your child has maintained majority ownership in a privately held corporation valued conservatively at 8 figures. Personal liquid assets exceed the contested inheritance by a factor of. She paused briefly, calculating. 23. There was no drama in her tone. No flourish. Just fact. For the first time since the hearing began, my father looked at me. Not through me. At me. His face didn't collapse. It didn't contort. It simply emptied. As if a familiar equation had stopped working. That can't be correct, he said. It is. The judge replied. The documentation has been verified. She folded her hands. Given this information, the argument that your child lacks financial competence is unsupported. The petition is denied. The gavel didn't slam. It tapped once. Final. The power in the room shifted without spectacle. My attorney sat a little straighter. My father's lawyer avoided eye contact. I felt nothing explosive. No surge of vindication, no triumph. Just a quiet unwinding. My father leaned toward me as papers began to shuffle and people stood. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, voice low, tight. There it was. Not I'm proud of you. Not I was wrong. Why didn't you tell me? I considered the question carefully. Would it have changed anything? I asked. He didn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. If I had told him at 25 that my startup had crossed its first million, he would have called it luck. At 30, he would have called it unsustainable. At 35, he might have called it impressive, but he would not have called me capable unless it fit his timeline. I didn't want my life graded, I said finally. He flinched at that. Subtle, but real. Outside the courtroom, the hallway buzzed with other cases, other families unraveling in quieter ways. My father stood beside me, suddenly unsure of where to place his hands. "You should have trusted me," he said. I almost smiled. "I did," I replied. "Just not with my self-worth." That landed heavier than the financial disclosure ever could. The inheritance was now legally mine to manage. $400,000 added to accounts that had long since outgrown it. It didn't feel like a win. It felt like confirmation. For years, I had wondered if he was right about me. If I was reckless. Naïve. Too idealistic to sustain anything real. I built my company partly to prove him wrong, and partly to avoid needing to. The court gave me control of the trust. It did not give me a father who understood me. As we walked toward the exit, he slowed. "I misjudged you," he said. The words sounded foreign in his mouth. It wasn't an apology, not fully. But it was closer than we'd ever been. "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe you just needed me to stay small." He didn't argue. We stood there for a moment, two adults recalibrating. The money had never been the point. If anything, the revelation complicated things. Now I would always wonder if I had failed, would he have stepped in out of love? Or control? I may never know. What I do know is this: I walked into that courtroom labeled a dreamer. I walked out with nothing new in my bank account, but something had shifted in me. I no longer needed him to audit my life for it to be valid. And that, quietly, was enough.